Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Motivation Nation. I'm your host, Air Gordon. Thinking caps are on sale now. It will be in the description and pinned to the top of the chat. Hey, listen, thanks to all the new subscribers, the likes, the shares, the comments. Scott sent a video. Oh, yeah, and if you do have a story that you want to tell about yourself, feel free to email it to me. I will read it. I can keep it anonymous. I can say your name however you want to do it. Just leave me the instructions in the email, and that's motivationnation407 at gmail. And if you just want a second set of eyes, another opinion, the community will respond. We do have a good community over here. Everything is very, very friendly. And so this video was sent to me that they want us to react to it. The young lady says she married a warlock. And in 3 months, she lost everything. So with no further ado, let's just get into the content.
On how I married a warlock. Stay tuned. Yes, I said it, y'all. When I was 21 years old, I married a warlock. And at the time, I didn't know what a warlock was.
Okay. I don't know what a warlock is. So let's go ahead and let's define what a warlock is. All right. So a warlock is a term referring to a male practitioner of witchcraft or magic, often with a negative connotation, who is usually depicted in fiction as a villainous figure who uses magic for malevolent purposes. The term has negative connotations, but for some within the modern witchcraft movement, it's a term of empowerment for men embracing their true potential and freedom from societal expectations. So now we have a definition of what a warlock is. So let's let her continue, but I had to make sure we all were on the same page here before we can move forward.
So when I was 21, I was getting ready to move out of my apartment. I was actually moving out of my apartment because I remember God just like preparing me for more. And I was breaking myself out of the poverty mindset. And I no longer wanted to live in an income based home anymore. I had finally began making a lot more money to where I was not approved for food stamps anymore, which I was so excited about that because God was literally breaking me out of poverty. Now, where I messed up was around that time is that I still had a void. Like I was still missing something and I just wanted love. I was 21 years old and I just wanted love along with all the other things, of this world. And at the time, I can say in a way I would be disobedient to God just to obtain what I wanted.
So let me stop it right there just to get my comment on that. A lot of times people make bad decisions out of loneliness. And usually at those times when you are the most lonely is a time when you should spend the most time getting to know who you are, knowing yourself, and that's reading the Bible and getting closer to God. And so I think she's touching on that part now, but this is just a word of wisdom. Don't allow loneliness to make you make a bad decision that's going to be irreversible for the rest of your life. And I've seen that time and time again that loneliness gets the best of people, then they make a bad decision and then they can't undo the decision that has been made. Nobody likes to be lonely. I understand that. But sometimes loneliness, especially in your youth, is the best thing for you because you're still getting to know who you are. You're still getting to know what's important to you, and you're still getting to shape your understanding and definition of the type of man and or woman that you're looking for. But anyway, let's let her continue. But I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in right there.
And it wasn't on purpose because I'm literally walking this walk for the first time. Long story short, I meet this man and it felt like we were just like meant to be. And um he was my maintenance worker. But I kid you not, I did not speak to him or did not talk to him until I was actually moving out. And I needed help moving some things out. We ran across each other, we exchanged numbers. That's how they went. So me listening to other people rather than me just going to where I was about to move to and, just hustling my way in, out of other people's fears, I end up staying in that town. And that just opened the door for me to have more conversations with this dude. Long story short, I fell for him head over heels, and boom, I married him within like 90 days, y'all. I know that's crazy, right? Yeah, I married him within 90 days. Now, what I did not know is that I was marrying the devil himself, okay? Yeah, the business that I had, the money.
Let me stop that right there. You married him within 90 days. So it sounds to me more so like this is a person that you married that you don't even know that well. And so you have fallen for the representative and you don't actually know who this individual was. And also, what I'm hearing, it sounds like you're doing this more so out of a financial necessity, more so than you think you're head over heels, but it's more so a financial thing. But we'll let her continue. Let's let her continue. But 3 months is not enough time to really know a person thoroughly enough to make a lifelong commitment as far as marriage. Now, I'm not saying that that's absolute because it's people out there who probably have been married for 20, 30 years and they married within 3 months. But the question then begs how long did you know that person? Is this a person you went to school with? Y'all reconnected? See, all of that stuff starts to come into play. But I'm sure there are stories of people who met for the first time 3 months later, got married, and they're still married to this day, happily ever after. But that would be an anomaly, in my opinion. That's not the norm.
That I had, all of that dried up within 60 days of me being married to him. I
Hmm.
was dead broke. I went from literally scaling my business, getting one of my first big business loans, to being broke, not even able to pay the loan no more within 60 days of marrying him, y'all. I did not know what was going on, but I was trying to do right by the Lord, that I'm praying. I'm like, Lord, yeah. So this man wanted to have a baby. He begged me down for a baby. I didn't want no baby, but because I married him, I gave him a baby, y'all. That was one of the worst but best decisions I could have did, because I love my son to death. But that man literally was sent in my life to do.
So now you've doubled down and now you have a baby warlock. So you married a warlock and within 3 months you're pregnant with a baby warlock. Okay, just making sure I'm following the story. It's the worst and best decision of your life. See, I don't like when people use that terminology when it comes down to a child. Worst and best. No, no. A child is going to be a blessing because anyway, let's just move on.
For everything God had for me. And at that moment, he did. It got to the point where I was having to depend on him financially, and he found every which way to break me down mentally, emotionally, and physically, to where I did leave him within 6 months. But here's the kicker: this is how he was a warlock. You guys, I kid you not, there would be moments that I would pray to God, and I'm going to give you guys a few instances. So there was a time where I knew, all the stuff that I was going through with him. And it was very hard. It was very hard. But it was like I would be praying out to God. And every time I would pray out to God, somehow he pick up the phone and call me, and the very thing that I was just praying about will be the topic that he's talking about on the phone. Literally, this has happened at least 5 times throughout our marriage. Like, I'm praying out to God about something and he's calling me. Now, a normal person would be like, oh, God is answering my prayers. And that's what I was thinking at first, until it got really creepy, okay? And what God showed me was that me marrying him, God turned me over to the devil. God turned me over to a reprobate mind, and whatever I went through. Now, the devil, God did not let the enemy really get me, as in knock me off, but it was a situation where God literally had to kind of let me do what I do, and I had to find my way back to him. And that's exactly what happened. So I kid y'all not, when I left my ex-husband, I never forget July 4th of last year. I prayed out to God, and this was the first time I ever begged God to pull me away from Him. I would always pray that God will work my marriage out. I will always pray for God to work things out. But this time I prayed to God that He would break me free from my ex-husband. And I literally have the video in my phone if y'all want it, right? I will literally, if y'all want that video, I will see y'all that video. I prayed a long prayer that night. I kid you not. After I went to sleep, this was July 4th, 2024. After I went to sleep, within 5 minutes of me going to sleep after praying, my ex-husband called me, and I have the proof of that too. I took a screenshot. That man called me and begged me not to leave him. Y'all, he was a warlock, and he is a warlock. And you have to be very careful, because many people that walk in manipulation, many people that walk with a Leviathan and a Jezebelic spirit, they are meant to destroy you. And if you're not careful, they would literally destroy the destiny that God has for you. Thank God that.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause it right there because she just said a few things, and so this goes back to what I was saying, and because she said that she was 21, she was youthful, so there's an experience that comes with just being alive and just having birthdays of things that you learn. And a lot of times, especially in this generation, people that are younger, 21, they seem to sometimes think that they know more than what they know. And I would love to know the age of the man that she married, because it sounds like he's an older man. And so he just understood how to manipulate her because she was younger and a lot less experienced. Now, I know she's chalking it up to a warlock, and I'm not going to discount that. But her experience as far as her calling him a warlock, but what I will say is, if this gentleman is older, or this her husband was older, he understood what it took to manipulate her. He understood what it would take to keep her. So therefore, it could come across as though, oh, everything that, I'm praying for, he's coming back and answering and saying that almost as an answer. But at that particular point in time, he was understanding her just a little bit more than she was. And so this is why it's very, very important when you're young to get to know yourself and take the time out and don't rush into anything, and also don't rush into relationships, especially ones where you may not necessarily be equally yoked. And that has a lot to do with mentality, finances, and things of that nature. Because if you get with the person out of desperation, like she said, she was trying to move and had, public housing and things of that nature. Depending on what his financial state was, that could have been a thing that enticed her to stay, marry him, and then produce a child with him. So those are the things that you do not want to allow to be your focal point in decision making. But let's let her finish.
Even though after that I talked to him, it was so clear as day over the next few weeks what God was telling me to do. And I had finally picked up the strength to walk away from that man. And when I tell you guys, breaking them soul ties ain't easy. That man wanted to stay married to me and stay connected to me until the day I walked away from him. And if I need to go in detail on even that, I will. But you have to be very careful of the men that you come in contact with, because many of them are meant and sent to destroy the destiny that God has for you. Yes, I married a warlock. Yes, his mom is in witchcraft, which I did not know about until after I was already married to him for months. But I kid you not, he's a warlock, and I know he is. He may not play with witchcraft actively, but he's a witch, okay? He's a witch, simple, including his mama. Then his son standing at the stairs right now, talking about witch, he supposed to be asleep though. I seen him in the bed an hour ago. He's standing in the hallway talking about witch. This is stuff I be talking about. That's a little scary too. So this is
So that's half a warlock. So she said a few things at the end. I'm gonna touch on that, and I want you guys to get down into the comments and let me know your thoughts. But she said most men are coming to destroy you, and also that she didn't know this guy was a warlock until after she married him. Well, so most people aren't coming to destroy you, but it's certain things that you invite into your life if you're not clear as to having a direction of where you're trying to go. One of the main things in dating and a relationship is you have to be on a certain path. And that way, when you meet someone, if you have a destination and you're headed somewhere and you're working towards something, anybody that you meet that's not on that same path of working towards what you're working towards is not going to be someone for you. But when you don't have a direct path and you're not heading anywhere, you kind of just go whichever way the wind blows or whatever sounds good at the time. So now you're inviting, there's no discernment in that. You are inviting anyone into your life and trying to see what it is that they have to offer versus here's what I'm doing. It's either you're on track with what I'm doing or you're not. And if you're not, that's not a problem, but you're not the one for me. And as she said, she didn't know the guy was a warlock until after she married him. That's because she didn't take the time out to get to know him. After 3 months, she didn't know anything about him. So after 3 months, you got with him, you got married, and now you're pregnant. Now you're finding out all these things that if you took the time out to vet the person and really get to know the person, and really date the person, you would have discovered these things along the way. So, not to belabor the point and to continue on and on, we can get into this in another thing because I don't want to make this video too long. But you have to already have a set of criteria that you're looking for in a date when you're dating, especially if you're dating to get married. So this way you don't get duped in the long run by someone because people can say, well, people can pretend like they're this person and that person, and then once you marry them, they change. No, 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 no. Because if you already have your set of criteria, your set of questions, your set of scenarios that you are going to ask a person and have with a person while you're dating, they're going to expose who they are, or they're going to say, that's too much for me and I'm out. And that's going to tell you everything that you know. But in order to do that, you have to know who you are, where you're going, what you're looking for, in order to know what to ask, in order to narrow down these billions of people on this planet down to the one that's worthy to marry you. But leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think about this video. That's it for this one. I will see you guys on the next one. Out.